This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
Hi, everybody. It's Chef Carrie Baird from Bardo here in Denver, Colorado, and you're listening to Shawn Rosler on the Coarse Grind Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back after a long break away. We're back at you with episode number 74. With you as always, host, creator Shawn Rosler. How is everyone doing this evening? You know, let me get the mea culpa right out of the way right up front. I've left you all hanging for a while, and you know, it is what it is. But as you all know, life and all its subtle nuances, see potentially life-altering details, can get in the way of a part-time podcast. 5 years in all, granted, but still part-time. I'd give an I'm sorry, but I'd kind of be lying. Sometimes taking a little break from the mic can help reset the brain, reset the spirit, and begin the upward climb again. What better way, then, to start that journey again than with someone who started their middle school journey with me, if just for a bit, only to turn out to be a seasoned culinary professional who's come home again. Tonight's guest and I first met when he was a bright-eyed wrestling fan in my 6th grade language arts class. From there, he's gone on to naturally do the whole growing up thing, and from brief intermittent conversations online, I came to know that he had come to know the culinary professional landscape. From arenas such as the Liberty Tap Room to Golden Oaks Country Club, his foundations on a more local scale set him up to head west and find experience in Mon Ami Gabi and B&B Ristorante, both in Las Vegas. Home beckoned, as it so often does, and he finds himself weaving his culinary works into his original locale, currently crafting cuisine at longtime friend of the Coarse Grind Podcast, the Turkey Hill Brewing Company. I, for one, have always loved the come home story, and this one I've been waiting for a long time to tell. Throw in there that this kid was just about as old as my oldest son is now when I first met him, and it makes it mean that much more. I'm done with the sappy nostalgia bullshit, if you are too, so let's bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, our guests this evening, 6th grade language arts student turned culinary professional, Mr. Christopher Hanaway. How you doing, buddy?
Good, how you doing?
Doing well. How's life treating you this evening?
Good, actually. Long day at work, but chilling now.
Long day at work at Turkey Hill Brewing Company, again, one of the most fabulous venues in the Bloomsburg area. Be sure to check it out. So, without further ado then, Chris, let's get into the conversation. For those of you new to the program, for those of you who've been longtime listeners but with shitty short-term memory, we have starters, mains, and afters. Starters, we get a little backstory on where the chef came from or the cook came from. We have mains, we have where they're at, what they're doing presently, and we have afters, a little more off the cuff, a little more irreverent, but in 73 episodes to date, no one's been injured, so I don't see that happening here this evening. So, without further ado, Chris, Topher, whatever, as it were, tell me about where and what you grew up eating.
I grew up eating pretty much whatever my mom could come up with. She wasn't that culinary talented, but we ate some random stuff. Spaghetti with bacon. Her own take on chicken and broccoli, which was just soy sauce, bathed noodles, and it was a little rough.
It was a little rough, but at the same time, you know, I find there's such a common thread among culinary professionals that more often than not, they didn't come from a home where culinary was the high point. I always joke with people, like, look, I'm hosting a show now for almost 5 years, and my mother used to brutalize, and yes, mother, I'm saying it again, probably for the 20th time at least, Brussels sprouts to holy hell, only to find out how exalted they can be. So, worry not, my friend. That seems to be more common. But I mean, spaghetti with bacon, that's practically carbonara with just, you know, an element or two removed, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess you could go that that way.
See,
just the noodles and the bacon would be the carbonara, right?
There you go. See, we're already making progress here. We're already making progress. So, I mean, would you have considered yourself, say, a picky eater growing up, or were you pretty adventurous from an early age?
I wouldn't say I was adventurous. I'd pretty much eat whatever was in front of me, though, but it wasn't, we never really ate anything fancy.
Right on. Right on. And
or too out there.
No, that's right on. And like looking back at those experiences, at those meals, at those food, is there one in particular, or are there more than one in particular that really calls back to your childhood? Is there one that really gives you that nostalgic, heartfelt pain?
Ramen noodles, man.
Ramen noodles, no shit, really?
Yeah, I got the Maruchan guy tattooed on my elbow.
Oh, no shit! That's amazing. What is it so much about that like hooks you in?
Every like grandmother and my mom, everybody would feed me ramen. So just going back to that, and then after my parents got divorced, my sister and I pretty much took care of ourselves.
Right on.
And all we ate was ramen, and I always played with it.
Yeah.
Trying different stuff with it.
Yeah, because who is it? Chang, didn't he? He did this series on like using it not just, putting it in the pot, boiling it, and then sprinkling the magic MSG sauce or powder on it. Like, there's so much more you can do with it, right?
Yeah, wasn't that Dave Chang?
Dave Chang.
Didn't he do that in Mind of a Chef or something like that?
There you go. You got it, man. Mind of a Chef. I love that freaking show. But honestly, I haven't really gotten that into it lately. But his season, the first season, actually, like that was the shit. And I mean, if you were ever just like, a kid doing your own thing or a college kid, like you learn real quick what you can do with a simple base element like that.
Yeah.
That's almost pseudo one of those like Iron Chef elements, like make something out of this, and you can make, and I won't go so far as to say an unlimited amount of things. I don't want to make the dessert with it, but I imagine I could.
Yeah, there's probably something you can do with it for dessert, but
there might have been. I
don't want to be the one to try
it. So what's the craziest thing you ever made with it?
I don't know. We had a bunch of, there was one time in culinary school, I wanted spaghetti, didn't have any stuff to make spaghetti, but I had ramen noodles and ketchup.
There you go. That's practically there. It's pasta with a tomato product. I like it. I like it a lot.
It's not that good.
No. So take me back. Obviously, there had to be a time where, through all of these culinary loops, you've got a mom who's like, working with some stuff, working with some elements, you fall into love with ramen, which really is kind of like a blank canvas from a culinary perspective. What was it, where was it that you said, wait a minute, like, I can do this, not just, for me, but for other people? When was it that you looked at it and said, I kind of want to do this as a job/career/lifestyle?
I actually kind of got pushed into it. I was a dishwasher at Russell's, and we actually had a cook walk out on a Father's Day.
Ooh. And
the sous chef said that I was probably the only dishwasher capable of cooking anything. And I actually told the head chef no when he first asked me, because I wanted nothing to do with that kitchen.
Right.
I just wanted to do my dishes and leave. And I was like, all right, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
Did not enjoy it for like the first week or two.
Yeah.
And then we got hit for probably a graduation weekend or something. And I was told sink or swim doing a morning shift. Yeah. And I broke down, and then right after that, the adrenaline kicked in, and that's when I got hooked.
There you go. And that adrenaline, from what I hear, really is kind of the point, like where you hit the first service, where the shit is hitting the proverbial fan, and yet you come out the other end and all the tickets are cleared and you're like, wait a minute, what did I just do?
Yeah, you have no idea what you just did.
You have no idea.
You,
and
like,
I mean,
blacked it out.
Exactly. It's like, shit, how many are on the stick? What's going on? And so how long were you doing that at Russell's?
Well, that was 13 years ago.
I was going to say, it's been a while since Russell's was a thing even, so that would have put it back that far. But, like, how long were you there doing it? Were you there till the end?
On and off. I had some issues with the new owners and came back, and then had some issues with the chefs then, and ended up at Rosemary's, actually.
Oh, you did? Right on. And so that almost feeds into a whole other topic. Like, once you get in to a culinary, I don't want to say seat, because it's not really a seat, but a culinary position where, like, people know you've got chops about you, you can move around even in a community like ours, right?
Yeah, once you get to know people, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, for sure.
In this area, well, I don't know how I did it in Vegas, but...
No, that's...
through Reading, once I got to know people, I got a couple jobs out there.
Right on. No,
the opportunities just open up once you network and get to know everybody. And
yeah, absolutely.
Just going out to the bar and bumping into other chefs and talking to them. And
yep. Yeah, and there you go. It's one thing I always tell people: always be networking. Even when you think you're not networking, you can be networking. So it's kind of funny you mentioned that. Actually, this would have been This would have been before I taught you. Summer of '99. Actually, I was working at Town Perk, and I started in there just as barista, just as a coffee slinger. And they needed help in the kitchen. I went in the back, and it's like, here's this little bullshit short form menu. Fine, whatever. And the one dude from Good Old Days came in and was like, hey, we've got Captain Jack's. Remember when it was Captain Jack's?
Yeah.
They said, hey, we've got Captain Jack's down the road. We're looking for a breakfast cook. You want in? I said, sure, what the hell? So I took the menu home. I started reading up on it, started remembering it, and there was about 2 months of my life. But there again, it's only because you're paying attention. And, even in a small town like this. So young culinary professionals, be paying attention. Get your heels in, get work in somewhere, and guarantee you word of mouth is going to carry you other places. True story. You heard it here.
Yes, certainly does.
Right on. So taking me back to that, I mean, obviously there was like a middle ground between, me knowing you in 6th grade and like you cooking professionally in Vegas. Like that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Who was it? Yeah, right on. Who was it in that gap that was like the greatest influence to you? Like, who kind of pushed you forward into being that guy?
I'm going to get laughed at for saying this, but Steve Bigger, he's actually my chef now. He was the guy that pushed me back at Russell's back in the day, too.
Oh, and he's at Turkey Hill now?
Yep.
I did not know that. So there you go. So what exactly was it he said or did? Like, what talked to you that made you want to do it?
Oh, he just stayed on me all the time. Like, he knew I was capable of doing this stuff, even though I didn't want to admit it for the longest time, and just kind of stuck with it. He ended up kind of becoming like a second father figure.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the tough love kind of always on my ass about shit.
Yeah.
When I was doing stuff wrong or stupid or anything like that, I definitely knew it.
Well, and you're a parent now, too, so you understand the whole concept of tough love. Like, the shit's got to get dropped sometime.
Yeah. Yep.
Too true. Well, that's awesome, man. And I mean, what a cool story. Like, and that's why I say to people, I say to young culinary students who have the misfortune of bumping into the show and maybe email the show or talk to me or anything like that, I always say to them, like, look, you're going to find influence and you're going to find pathways, maybe not in the place you expected it, and then to come home again like you have, like, that's just such a cool thing. Did you ever like lose touch with Steve in that time, or were you in contact the whole time?
No, I was always in contact.
That's awesome.
Some sort of way, either him making fun of me on Facebook for something stupid, or
that's the only way to be.
He was actually the first person I got in touch with when I was moving back to Bloomsburg, seeing if there was a job opening.
Nice.
And he actually got back to me a couple weeks later after I already found a job coming back, and so it didn't go through at that point in time.
Right on.
But the job I had when I got back, I kind of screwed up, and asked him for a job again, and he's like, yeah, I was trying to get you here months ago. Like, get up here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. But, I mean, there again, okay, life lesson number 2, and I'm sure you'll agree with this. I'll agree with it. Anybody who's been through it will agree with it. Never burn a bridge down. Even if you hate it, even if you're walking away, never act like the dick walking away from it.
No, I always at least try to put my 2-week notice in, work it all the way through. Don't be a dick and disappear on that last day, and just work through it.
You never know when you're going to need that hand again.
Yep.
It's all too true. All too true, man.
No matter what the job is, do not burn the bridge.
No, absolutely. Even if it's the worst one possible, don't burn the bridge. You heard it here. You know, whether it's from me, whether it's from Topher here, just listen to us. Don't burn the bridge. It's a dumb move. So that's awesome, man. So here you are back in your hometown, which is awesome in and of itself. Here you are back with this guy who molded you, who pushed you to kind of be more than you are. And I know I'm going to kind of pull back the curtain here and say, you know, you're not necessarily the first one to step forward and toot your horn ability-wise. And I know, you know, a lot of young professionals like you, and yet when you finally start to come into being so aware of it, you really start to blossom. So, you know, looking at you coming back, and I mean hustling like I'm sure you do, I'll admit I peeked in the kitchen a couple times to see if I can get a glimpse of you, and there you are, head down, just boom, 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 boom. So I've fully admitted now that I'm stalking you. It's a little weird.
I like it.
But it's just such an awesome story to see come full circle the way it is, and you know that's just fantastic. So here you are back in Bloom. Talk to me about present day when you're cooking, whether it be for you or whether it be professionally, when you're asked to maybe come up with something. Where is it that you pull inspiration from? Like, what are you inspired by as a cook?
Actually, anytime I'm like asked to make something, first question usually is, what do we need to get rid of? To be honest. And then I just kind of work with what needs to go. I kind of just go through past like experiences and failed attempts and winning attempts at stuff.
There you go, and go from there. I love it, you know, and so often I think people get like romantic and a little nostalgic about that question, like, oh, well, I draw it from my grandmother who used to make pappardelle, and no, you know what? Most times you're like, all right, well, what's going to go rotten in 48 hours? Okay, I should use that. Now what do we need to do? So, no. And
I'm just honest. I'm sorry.
No. See, and that's so cool. And this is the thing here. I'll pull the curtain back again. So often, and you and I were kind of alluding, although I won't use names now at this point, like, you know, some people are just really, really real about it, and some people are really, really not about it. And that's why I love... To pull the curtain even further back, one of your first questions to me was, why do you want me on? And I'm like, that's exactly why I want you on. Because the people who ask that but are in it, I want to hear that story. And so I will always pick real over fabricated any day of the week. Any day of the week. So you work off necessity, and, you know, you've been cooking, you know, for a good long while now. What would you say, looking back, or even looking present day, was like your greatest creation? What's the greatest thing you've ever made where like you just look back at it and go, holy shit, how did I do that? That's amazing.
I don't know if I was the one that like created it, but something I've always like toyed around with was using different wines and stuff for Alfredo sauces and doing a shrimp marsala Alfredo.
Ooh, what? And where exactly were you doing that at?
I used it, I think I actually did it on a Russell special a while back. Back in my stoner days. Flipping the pages of a book to see what went together.
Right on. Yeah, totally makes sense.
And then I used it on the special up at Golden Oaks, and it sold surprisingly like crazy. And I was like, wait, this is actually... I didn't think people would jump on it, but I think they just read Alfredo and just went with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, anything.
And then plates were coming back clean, so
that's all that matters.
I liked it a lot.
There you go, man. That's all that matters at the end of the day. You know, so often people get hung up on, oh, well, it's an Alfredo, it's this, it's that, and people tend to look at, I don't want to say, well, I guess culinary labels as pretty, like, one-dimensional, but you can do so much. I mean, how many master sauces are there? And yet, what all can you do with them? You know, the same thing holds true, I think, anyway, with pasta and their respective sauces. Alfredo is not just Alfredo, and clearly you've shown that.
Yeah.
Right on, man. So, you've done that. Now let's go to the other end of the pool here, and possibly embarrass ourselves. What would you say was your greatest culinary F-up in the kitchen?
Well, other than that ramen with ketchup,
I'm not calling that an F-up at this point, dude. But go ahead.
Let me think. There's quite a few of them. I did this blueberry chicken salad. I still have that menu. That was a lunch special at Russell's.
Oh, yeah?
That was a little rough.
What exactly, dare I ask, was rough about it?
Like chicken salad, like the mayonnaise kind of chicken salad,
Ooh.
not just the salad with chicken and blueberries on it.
Oh, and
yeah, it was.
Yeah. Shall we move on?
Yeah, and they actually let me put that on a menu. I'm pretty sure that was the new owner that let me do that. I'm not going to put that on Russell Maria.
I was going to say, that was the whole switch off to Russell and Christie's, right?
Yeah, it was Dale Hall that bought it out.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. It's not on Russ and Maria, so that's all that matters.
He owned a construction company. He had no idea what he was doing with the restaurant.
So I assume he didn't even try it before he put it on the menu?
No, I don't think he really ate there too much.
Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. That's all we need to know about that. Moving on. So, you know, here you are in the industry, you know, working in the industry day in, day out. I'm sure you've seen trends come and trends go. What would you say coming up, or maybe coming up soon, would be the next, quote, big thing in food? Is there a trend coming? Is there a trend, like, on deck, ready to go? What's going on?
Looks like people actually making tortillas for tacos are finally doing something.
I saw that the other night, actually. I think that was either on your Instagram or Facebook, where it was a blue corn tortilla, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're making your own now?
I was making my own tortillas last night. When I moved back, I was at the Bakers Guild making tortillas out of the bread dough, actually.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. And that kind of got me started on them. Well, plus living in Vegas and working with a bunch of Mexicans and eating tacos all the time.
That's right, man. That's right.
Real tacos.
Oh, God.
Not our Pennsylvania hard shell fried Taco Bell tacos.
There is nothing better, and I can tell you this. We were just down when we were young and kidless. We bought a little property in Puerto Vallarta, and we finally made it back with our two oldest kids. And one of the greatest experiences in life is taking them down the street in Bucerias and getting a street taco for literally pennies and watching their brains blow out on the sidewalk when they taste it. Like, it's, dude, and I mean, it can be fucking lengua tacos, and it's so good. Like, there's nothing better than a real taco. And so you're saying that this is maybe coming, like, industry-wide? Like, we're going to see more house-made tortillas?
I've been seeing, it's kind of a pain, but I've been seeing people playing with them on Instagram and stuff a bit more than usual. Everybody loves tacos, so I constantly see stuff about Taco Tuesdays, but it's nice to see people actually trying to make their own tortillas and everything. Yeah,
there you go. And so are you going to try to sneak this in at Turkey Hill?
There's a bag of masa harina there, but I don't think we'll be doing it actually on the menu kind of thing.
Because you guys do the fish tacos, right? But, I mean... Yeah,
those are pre-made corn tacos.
Okay.
That's why I was trying to switch it up, but they don't hold like the pre-made stuff does, and we get plenty of orders for it, but we don't have enough space to do them to order.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, because that's not a small cooktop where you're making tortillas, right?
Well, yeah, you need a little bit of space there, plus pressing them out, rolling the dough up, all that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so a little bit more of a real estate investment, but boy, that'd be phenomenal to see come as maybe Turkey Hill Brewing expands a little bit. Their own house-made tortillas, that would not be a bad thing.
Yeah, I mentioned it to Ross and Neville a couple times.
Very good. Keep on him about it. Tell him the host of this local bullshit talk show said he wants some tortillas. Awesome, buddy. So that's a cool trend. That's something I'd kind of like to see come down the pipe. But talk to me about, again, as a professional, how to put this nicely, shit you'd like to see go away. What is a trend that you're just sick to death of, and why?
I'd love to see avocados go, even though I love them. But people are just doing too much shit with them.
Avocados just in general? Like, you're just tired of them?
Yeah.
All right,
fair enough. Well, I guess that was more of a Nevada thing.
Yeah.
Avocado ice cream.
Oh, where is that shit from?
I forget where I saw it.
Oh,
it was over there somewhere, though.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm kind of tired. With all respect to Carrie Baird from this past season of Top Chef, I love you dearly. We're still best friends, but avocado toast, enough. Let's stop. We don't need to put avocado on everything, let alone toast. That's just me. So, all right. So avocado, Chris.
Yeah, just don't put it in a restaurant. You don't need to put avocado on toast in a restaurant. People can do that at home.
I agree completely. So Chris Hanaway hates avocados. What's that, buddy?
Unless you're making your own bread and all that, I get that. But.
Yeah. I mean, it's simple. So, but you heard it here. Chris hates avocados. If you eat them, he thinks you're a jerk. So, there you go.
Hey.
Right on. So
I'm not saying that.
So we talked about the trend. We talked about the stuff you want to see go away. Talk to me about Chris Hanaway and his 5-year plan. What is it you want to do with this ever-emerging skill set that you have going on? I mean, like, obviously, you just keep moving forward, picking up skills. That's one of the coolest parts, I think, about talking to cooks and chefs and everybody like that. Like, you never lose skills. You just add to your repertoire. So what is it you want to do? Like what is your plan?
That's actually what's keeping me in the culinary industry, is just you're constantly learning. But plan-wise, I'm actually just chilling right now. I don't want to sound boring, but
no.
I just got my life kind of back in order.
There you go.
Went through a rough patch there for a little while. Been sober for 7 months now, though.
Congrats, brother. Nice job.
Yeah, just kind of doing day by day right now.
That's all you got to do, man. And you know, that's such a cool message too. I think so many times, so many people are focused on that. Oh God, what's the next rung in the ladder? What's the next 5 rungs in the ladder? How about I just wake up tomorrow and be happy? Like, and I think that's a big win. And it sounds to me like you're doing that right now.
Yeah, through the past 13 years, I've probably worked at about 13 different restaurants.
There you go.
I haven't really settled down in a while, so I'm just going to kick it here for a little bit.
You're all set to kick it here. I love it, man. That's, as far as I'm concerned, for what that's worth, as your 2-month 6th grade student teacher, language arts teacher, that's a good plan. So there you go. For what that's worth, go with it. That's awesome, man. Let's go ahead and move on then. So covered the present, we covered the past. Let's cover the potentially awkward, oddball, off the cuff with the afters. I'm standing in your kitchen. You can pick whether it's professionally or at home. What music do I hear?
Probably Modest Mouse.
Modest
or
Mouse.
TV on the radio.
All right, man. And that's both at work and at home?
Yes.
Awesome.
I pretty much take over the radio when I'm at Turkey Hill and also at home. So
nice. There you go. No questions asked there.
I can't stand a quiet kitchen on that end. Need to have music.
Oh, so you're not like a Thomas Keller disciple of heads down, silence, and just speaking when you need to speak.
Yeah, that was B&B Restaurante. There was no music there. The chef there actually worked at Thomas Keller's restaurant. There was no music.
Wow. We were We were actually just out in California. We actually ended up eating at Bouchon out in Napa.
Yeah.
But we tried to get into French Laundry, and we couldn't. But we drove out, and we're like, let's at least walk over and see what French Laundry looks like from the outside, right? So we managed to get this pretty good vantage point of the kitchen, and it almost looked oddly like, I'm trying to think how to say this nicely, like they were all kind of prisoners of war being made to cook. Like they all had this nervous look on their face, and I'm like, that sucks. Like that's got to be rough. So I go over to Bouchon, and I kind of fill the maitre d' in on the story with the podcast, as I always do. And dude, in like 2 minutes, they're like, "Chef would like to see you in the kitchen." And I go back, and I'm not sure if you saw these pictures or not, but so the exec chef is like arm around me, taking me around the kitchen, shows me these truffles they had flown in that morning. He's like, "Mike, go ahead," because he was from New Zealand. He's like, "Mike, go ahead and get your nose down in tight." And I put my nose in. I've never smelled such a goddamn thing in my life. And then he points over to the stars, because they're a 3 Michelin star establishment. And I look, and there's this black Sharpie on the wall. Like, there's just, like, shit scrawled. And I'm like, oh, my God, what? Who did that? And then I look, and friggin' Daniel Boulud, Paul Bocuse, Jacques Pepin, and there's one I'm forgetting right now. Joël Robuchon all signed the wall. Like, come on, man. Come on. So
awesome.
It was kind of weird, though, in a way to think, though, that, like, Thomas Keller, you know, you worked under a guy who worked under him, who was like, heads down, no music. And then I'm in this kitchen at Bouchon, and it's just blasting music, good time, you know, taking this lame podcast host back. So, I don't know, man. I will be like you. I will always take the loud and boisterous over the quiet and almost reserved, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, all right, cool. Modest Mouse it is. Here's a fictitious question for you. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island, and you can only bring 3 foods or food type items with you. What would they be and why?
3 foods or food type items? Well, ramen, because ramen.
Yep, ramen because ramen.
I'm talking about the packaged stuff, too.
Right on, man.
Not the fancy real stuff. I love my prepackaged crappy ramen.
Give me that MSG.
Let's see. Well, tacos.
Love it.
You can put anything, well, at least tortillas, you can put anything in them, so.
Love it.
Let's see, a third one. Bacon.
Bacon. There you go. That might actually be the best list I've ever heard. Ramen, tortillas, and bacon. What the hell else do you need in life?
Well, ramen's pretty much a vehicle for anything. Tortillas, pretty much a vehicle for anything. And bacon, because it goes on everything.
It's a vehicle for everything in and of itself. I love it. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Have you heard of the book My Last Supper by Melanie Denea?
I've heard of it.
Oh my God. Okay, so here. You want to know why you're on the show, Mr. Episode 74? You are probably one of 3 or 4 people who have said they've heard of it before. Let alone, so my wife and I have both the first version of it, My Last Supper, and the second version of it, The Next Course, it's called. And so each volume is this wonderful big photography book with 50 renowned chefs all ask the same series of questions. And it's kind of where I got the inspiration for the show from. And it all centers around My Last Supper. And, you know, it's the old Culinary. If you've ever worked in a kitchen one day in your life, you know this game. Hey, you're going to die tomorrow. What's your last supper? What are you going to eat? Who's going to be there and why? So I ask you, sir, your check is getting punched tomorrow. You got one last meal, one last supper. What's it going to be?
Do you know who Dave Dick is?
I don't.
He owns a little takeout spot. I think it's called D&D's. He used to work at, when it was Rikers Mardi Gras, he was a bartender there.
Oh, okay, yeah, I do.
His son's actually the chef there now, I believe.
Okay.
But I used to go to his house for New Year's Eve parties and Christmas parties and stuff, and he makes this prime rib that is phenomenal. I always told him that'd be my last meal.
No shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what with it?
Probably the basics. Corn, mashed potatoes.
Nice.
Simple stuff.
Keep it beautifully simple. I love it. And
you can definitely tell I'm from Pennsylvania.
It's meat and potatoes all day, son. Meat and potatoes all day.
Yep.
I love it.
I'll take a side of ranch with that. No,
Oh, Christ. All right, enough. I was starting to develop some respect for you. Knock it off. That's awesome. All right, and finally, my man, last question. The simplest and yet possibly the most complex. What is food to you in a single word?
Life. Yeah, completely honest, life is the word that comes to mind. What I do, it's who I am, it's what brings my family together, it's what brings my friends together. Yeah, kind of life.
I love it, man. And it's so true, and it's so funny how that life, that culinary life, has brought you back full circle, has brought you back into, this former teacher's wheelhouse, I guess, only to talk to you about what it is you're doing. And it's just such a cool way how this life works sometimes. So I really appreciate you coming on tonight and having a chat with me, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, no question at all. So if you're looking for Mr. Hanaway here, you can be sure to find him at Turkey Hill Brewing Company, located at 991 Central Road here in Bloomsburg, PA, 570-387-8422, turkeyhillbrewing.com. And, be sure to get there early. Be sure to order as much food as you possibly can, because that will keep him busy and that will keep him happy.
Yes, it will.
All right, brother. Hey, thanks again, man. I appreciate it so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 74 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me again this evening has been the fantastically talented Christopher Hanaway. My producer, as always, this evening has been the voluptuous Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out his most recent art show, his libertarian rantings, and his steampunk happenings straight out of Honesdale. Next episode will be number 75. Be sure to stay tuned, and we'll talk soon.
Retour à source avant ce verre.